Perfect. Okay, so let's start. Welcome to all of you, and then welcome to Philippe, Sarah, and Corina. Thanks for joining us in this session. So first of all, my name is Ursi van der Herten. I'm responsible for the admissions and recruitment for our MSc students and MBA students in Switzerland. So the session today, we've organized it together with our students and alumna Corina here in order to give a little bit more insights in our MBA program, and then also, above all, share experiences with you. So before we start with, I would say, those experiences and listening to what our students and alumni have to share with you, I would like to give a brief presentation on the full-time MBA program. I'm going to be sharing my screen with you. Okay, so you should be seeing my presentation now. All right. Okay, so let me give you a bit more insights, not only about our full-time MBA program, but also about Esade. So as you can see, Esade has three business units, which we call, well, first of all, the business school, then we have the law school and the executive education. Our master programs, full-time MBA and executive MBA programs are part of the Esade Business School. Now, Esade has a triple accreditation, which about only 1% of the schools worldwide have received this accreditation. And we're working with partners worldwide. So you will see, depending on the program that, you will be choosing, being MBA, being Masters, being Executive MBA, there are different ways of working with those partner schools, being exchange programs for the full-time MBA, being study tours for the master programs, being electives, and international weeks for our executive MBA. So in total, we have about 254 exchange agreements with different schools. Now, Esade has a really big, important alumni network of more than 73,000 alumni worldwide. And we also have 74 international chapters. Those are connected with a city. Besides those regional chapters, I would call it, we also have functional chapters like the entrepreneurship club, the consulting, the marketing club, where our alumni can still participate after graduation of the MBA program. We have every year on campus more than 15,000 students and more than about 125 nationalities. So a very large diversity in all our programs. Now, what are Esade's values? And you will see them coming back in all our programs. So first of all, the collaborative spirit. So you will see then when you do your program at Esade that it's all about teamwork. You will also see that a lot of your grades will depend on teamwork, right? So, and then besides that, we apply a very practical approach, taking account that a lot of our professors are business practitioners. They bring in their network of companies that they have worked with, they're working for their own companies, bring those companies into courses where you will have the opportunity to work on challenges, on competitions, on real practical projects with companies. And then a third, I would say, highlight of our programs and is also the way that our students can customize their program. We're going to be talking a little bit more about that later on. Barcelona, I think everybody will know Barcelona. Those of you that have visited Barcelona, most of you have fallen in love with the city. So it's not, I would say, a difficult job for me to promote the city, but just for you to know that, Barcelona has been growing very fast as a leading tech and innovation hub. So a lot of startup companies are coming this way and setting up their offices in Barcelona. Besides that, we have really a good number of global fairs like the Mobile World Congress that is taking place every year and many more. So a very, very, I would say, an active and I would say attractive city, right? Barcelona to live in. Some of the rankings, if we go here to the MBA program, we'll see that our MBA is ranked 17th worldwide in the Financial Times, and also, Esade is very strong on entrepreneurship, so that's why we also have very, very good rankings for our MBA being the first for entrepreneurship in Europe, ranked by Bloomberg. And then also fourth MBA for entrepreneurs ranked by P&Q. Now, I mentioned before, right? So that the focus is on you. So you will have the opportunity to customize your program. First of all, by choosing the length of the program. So you can choose between 12 months, 15 months, and 18 months. So 12 months is a standard program. Then for those of you that would like to do an internship or an exchange program, you will then choose for the 15 months. Or if you would like to do an exchange program and an internship, you will choose for the 18 months. Also, some of our students might want to do 2 internships, or some of them end up doing 3 internships. And then, of course, your program will be 18 months long. A little bit more about the class profile. Every year we have about 180 students in class, and a very, very large number of different nationalities. So this year we have 43 different nationalities represented and 98% of international students. I think this is quite important because we really want to keep the balance. Why you might have schools in the US when you study your MBA in the US that have a majority of Americans, for example. So this is not the case in Esade. So in our MBA program this year, we have 2% of Spanish students. Female representation, I must admit that we went down this year, but we've started a lot of activities with different departments at Esade to make sure that for the next year, this percentage will go up again. The average age is 29, and then the average work experience is 5.7, around 6 years of work experience. You can see that where our students are coming from. We have, I would say, a very large representation from Latin America, then also from Asia, Europe, and then also, but lower representations from the US, Middle East, Africa, and Southern Africa, and then the 2% is Spain, of course. Sector-wise, you will see that the majority has a business and management background, but not all of them, because we have a good representation of engineers, students with backgrounds in tech, social sciences, economics, and also others. Now, the Esade MBA program, as mentioned before, is 12, 15, or 18 months long, and it is divided in 3 terms. And I will also show that in the next slide. So besides the courses, you will also have the opportunity to participate in study tours, study tracks, other ways to customize your program through the Career Accelerator program, for example, and you also have the opportunity to study another language if you wish. Now, when we come to the last term of the MBA program, our students have the opportunity and to do electives. And there we have, well, more than 50 electives. You will also see that some of the electives will be shared with our executive MBA students. Besides that, and we will talk a little bit more about that afterwards with our students here, I would like to ask them to share their experience. You have the opportunity to choose for a Career Accelerator program. You can choose even 2. So you will see that our career team is very specialized in different sectors. So, and also if you say, look, I would like to, I will see myself in consulting, financial services, technology, or healthcare, you will then do an accelerator program. If you wish, it's optional, of course, with our career team. And then we also have different, what we call labs. These are specializations in innovation, marketing, entrepreneurship, social impact, and then we also have a family business lab. I'm not going to go into detail in all the courses, but you can find them on the website. And if you want to know what exactly the courses are about, you can click on each of them. You will have a detailed syllabus that will give you information on the methodology, the content of the program, how is the grading going to look like, what would be the companies that you would be interacting with. Our MBA is a very global MBA, so you're going to be participating. You will have the opportunity to participate in real-world challenges. There again, we have every year a challenge-based innovation project, which is with CERN. And of course, we will also ask our students to do an in-company project, which is a final master project. We are collaborating with a lot of prominent speakers in different sectors from different companies. And as you can see here, CNN, Bayer, Siemens, also sports business. So it's a very interesting and diverse collaboration that we have with those companies. The exchange program is a program of about 3 months, and our students can choose out of 47 partner schools. So we have collaborations with schools on all the continents. This exchange program is about 3 months long. It could be a really, really good opportunity for you if you say, look, oh, I see myself working after my MBA in the US. Why don't you do an exchange program in one of our partner schools? Because that way you will be completely immersed for three months, working with their career team, working with their business environment, having access to their alumni network. So it's going to be a really good opportunity for you to get all this access, for your future professional path. We also organize study tours. Those study tours for now, the destinations that we have is Berlin, Dubai, and Miami. Yeah, well, I would like to ask our alumna Karina later on for her experience if she has done an study tour and tell you more about that. And then we also have career tracks. Those career tracks are organized by the student organization Ambassa together with our career team. So during those career tracks, our students will go to different cities, as you can see, have worked together with companies, doing interviews with companies, and getting to know what the sector looks like, what are the profiles companies are looking for, yeah, learn from them. Now, the application process, it's on a rolling base. So you will see on the website that we have deadlines. Now, in practice, we have a weekly admissions committee. So as soon as your application is ready, there's going to be an official interview. And then we will present your application to the admissions committee. So we will ask you to fill in an online application. There's some additional documents that are required, like your bachelor degree, your transcripts, English proficiency. Of course, if you have studied in English, then we will not require this certificate. This certificate, if you don't have TOEFL or IELTS, you can add the English test to your Esade admissions test if you choose to do the Esade admissions test. Besides our test, you can also do the GMAT on the GRE. So we accept the 3. Then you will also be asked to ask 2 recommenders to send us a recommendation letter. We will need your CV, and then you will see in the online application that there are some questions which are, well, we call it an essay, which I would recommend to make them at least 1.5 pages. When you're ready, when you submit your application, you will be asked to pay an application fee. And then as soon as we have your test result, there will be an official interview. So for those of you that are based in Switzerland, the interview is going to be with me. And then after that, I will be defending your application to the committee. Now, regarding the financing for our MBA program, you have the option to apply for both scholarships. The need-based scholarship, I must be honest, is more focused on, of course, candidates coming from continents like Africa, Latin America. So we're going to be taking into account the financial situation, of course. But then I would say for all Swiss candidates, for those of you that want, you can apply for an Excellence Award. So this Excellence Award is would go maximum up to 40% of the tuition fee. And you can apply for this award as soon as you have submitted your application. It's a separate scholarship committee, which also takes place on a weekly basis. And then, of course, for those students that would like to combine the scholarship with a loan or apply for a loan, we have several loan providers that we are working with, and you can find this information here. So if you're interested in any of them, once you are admitted to the program, you can reach out and to several of them, and then choose the one that that will offer you the best conditions. Now, regarding our career activities, and I would like to also talk about that in detail later on. So our career team is a very experienced team of more than 30 professionals that are specialized in their sectors. So they organize all kinds of activities, going from career fairs. There are different fairs taking place during the year. The finance career fair being the first of all, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is already taking place at the end of September. But then also workshops that are going to be organized, companies that will be invited to come to campus to talk about the sector, what's going on, what are the jobs that they will be offering, what are the skills that are needed for that. And then also our career team will be organizing workshops for specific skills that are needed for specific positions. They also organize mock interviews, connecting you with alumni. If you say, look, I'm going to be having an interview with this company, they also work with consultants that from those companies that will then help you prepare and get ready for your interview. Some of the placement numbers, we have here like 91% of our students found a job in 3 months after graduation. So the placement is very, very high. And then you can see that 97% changed or sector or function or location. And then 40% of our students did a triple change. You can also see, well, the salary increase, and then also where our students are being, where they are working after the MBA. So in high representation in tech and in consulting, and then region, the highest placement we will find in Europe. And then also by function, I would say the highest representation of our students goes into consulting after the program. Here are some of the companies that we are actively every year working with. You can find more information in the employment report, which you can download from the website. And then, well, as mentioned in the beginning, Esade has a very strong focus on entrepreneurship. For those of you that want to launch their own project, whatever sector it is, you are more than welcome to participate in our accelerator program, incubator program, which is guided by our Entrepreneurship Institute and eWorks. So there again, this program will lead you through the different stages of setting up your business, will connect you with angel investors. And I think here, we're very proud to say that Esade's BAN has been awarded the best business angel network in Europe. And these are some of the ventures that have been launched, investors that have been contributing to companies that have, were set up by our students. So our international alumni network, 74 chapters, and I would say that our chapter in Zurich and Geneva are very active. We're organizing a lot of events, so in cities around the world, and I think our alumni network is really important for you to be connected with, whether you're relocating or whether you're doing business in one of the countries where you're traveling. it's always good to know that you have this network and where you can be and stay in contact with alumni of Esade. Good. All right. I think we come now to the most important part, the most interesting part, because whatever I told you, you can find on the website. I think what's going to be more rewarding for you is hearing the experiences of our current students, Sarah and Philippe, and then also Corina, who graduated from the MBA program in 2024. So I'm going to stop sharing my presentation. And then one more thing I would like to add that if for those of you that are attending or that joining us, if you have questions, feel free to interrupt. And we want this to be a conversation, right? I have prepared some questions that I think would be of interest for our candidates. So I think first of all, before we start, I would like to ask the three of you to introduce yourself, maybe tell us a bit more about your academic background and work experience before you joined the MBA program. Corina, would you like to start?
Sure, no problem. Thank you, Ossi. Yeah, so to start, Corina Weber, originally from Germany, had been living in Switzerland before going to the MBA with the Esade. And I actually studied mechanical engineering before I decided to go into finance and do an MBA later on. Work-wise, I was working with UBS at the time when I was applying for an MBA as a client advisor in the wealth management arm of UBS, advising family businesses or family offices, as we also called them. So that's a bit my background before the MBA. And then I guess maybe a little bit on the post-MBA later on.
Yes, correct. Thank you. Sarah, what about you?
Perfect, thank you. So hi, I'm Sarah Smith. I'm Swiss, born and raised in Geneva, and I did my bachelor in hospitality management in Lausanne. And then after that, I worked 6 years in banking at Credit Suisse in different roles, relationship management, investment advisory, and then I did structured products marketing and sales, and I started the MBA in September, so right in the middle of it.
Thank you, Sarah. Philippe?
Yes. Hi, my name's Philip. I'm from Zurich, so the German-speaking part of Switzerland. I studied PPE in the University of Lucerne, so that's philosophy, political science, and economics, a bit of a broad undergrad that I did there. After that, I did an internship in communications as a communication specialist for UBS, and then was hired by my stakeholder back then to work in the Chief of Staff office for the Group Governance Officer, so C-suite level at UBS, which then led me to apply for the MBA program starting in September, just like Sarah. And yeah, excited to see what's going to happen next.
Thank you, Philippe. So the three of you already had a really interesting and solid work experience before you started the MBA. So now I'm curious to know, like, what made you decide to do an MBA program, and then also why going abroad and why not staying in Switzerland or in Germany in your case, Corina? Who would like to start? Corina, would you like? Oh, yeah, Philippe.
Oh, sorry, I can start if you want.
Go ahead.
So in my case, I knew that I wanted to try something new when I was in my last role. I didn't really quite know what it was. Also, the merger between UBS and Credit Suisse happened back last year. Last year? Yeah, I think last year still, or the year before.
It started a bit earlier, but yeah, it's
exactly.
lasting,
it started
right?
a bit earlier. Yeah, it happened March 2024, like a black weekend. So then the whole internal moving got a bit more difficult. I was looking at other roles. Also, all of the roles were less challenging than the role that I was currently in, which I wasn't really looking for. I knew that the market or the job market is going to be sort of saturated, especially in the financial industry, because of the merger, which then motivated me to look maybe outside of a job hunt and more go into academia and see what my options and opportunities are there. I actually applied for jobs, I applied for masters at the beginning, and then was pursued by Edina, so your predecessor Ursi, to also take an MBA into consideration, which I did, and happy that I did. I chose the Esade MBA because I knew that I didn't want to pursue pursue consulting. A lot of business schools are specialized in consulting with a lot of case cracking, which is fine. But I knew that I maybe want to do something more in the direction of entrepreneurship or tech, which I think the Esade MBA is one of the, if not the strongest MBAs worldwide, which then made my decision pretty easy after a while of consideration.
Thank you, Philippe.
Yeah, so maybe to tag on to this, I think it's a little bit similar in some instances for me, though I experienced the merger while doing the MBA. I was actually on leave with UBS, so it was an interesting thing to observe while doing my MBA. But going away from that, I was living already for about 12 years in Switzerland when I started thinking about an MBA. And I think a little bit similar to what Philip just mentioned, for me, it was part of a process about, thinking on where would the next step go, what would be the next development be, and maybe shouldn't it be time to change things up a little bit and get out of the country, refocus, review to decide where would it take me next. That was really part of the process for me. I had been at the time for about 8 years with UBS in different roles, and that had been great and challenging, but I sort of found a bit of a plateau. So I think similarly to what Philip was saying, I think for about 2 years I tried to find a way within the company that didn't really materialize. So then I started considering, well, maybe now is the time to sort of go back to academia and broaden my horizons a little bit further in other areas. And that was really key for me on top of that, because I'm very much I love dancing salsa, and, Spanish was sort of a thing that I really loved anyway. So I was sort of like, well, good time to go somewhere south with the sun and, more diverse, more, vibrant, maybe you could say. So yeah, Esade definitely hit that on the head, and it was an environment where I felt very much at home when I also went to see the school, talk to the people, extremely diverse. And that was what I was looking for my to just explore different horizons and think about where I want to go next.
Thank you, Corina.
It's actually really interesting to listen to the both of you, because I just resonate with a lot of the things that both of you said. So for me, it was a little bit, actually really a bit of a combination of both. So I had studied hospitality management, and then I went into banking, which was quite a different industry for me. And I'd always had at the back of my head that I wanted to do an MBA, but it was more a question of when I wanted to do it. And I was working at Credit Suisse at the time, so I witnessed the UBS merger acquisition straight on, and it was definitely a time of reflection. I think a bit like you said, Philip, and I was thinking, what do I want to do next? Do I want to stay internally? Do I want to look somewhere else? And I just thought it was the best timing. It was just the best timing in terms of when to do it. And then in terms of why Esade and why studying abroad, it was super important for me to get an international experience, because I had been in quite international environments pretty much all my life, but within Switzerland. And I wanted to see just something else. And I think that's where I resonate with you, Corina, that it's just I wanted to be in a more sunny, vibrant, different city. And what really stood out to me with Esade, because obviously a lot of the programs, they're quite similar in terms of the academics. And I remember when I was thinking about it, it was difficult to say which one is the best fit for me based on what I want to do post MBA. And it was just the culture of collaboration. It's super international, super diverse. And I'd heard from a lot of people who had studied at Esade, just the culture where you really help each other out, because MBAs are quite competitive and the job market is very competitive. And unlike other business schools, that you really help each other out. And I can say now that I'm, straight in it, and I'm sure Philip, you would agree. It's really the culture within the MBA is amazing. It's super open. People are really willing to help. They try to push you forward and make you grow. And I'm very happy with the decision of choosing Esade.
Thank you, Sarah. Now, during the presentation, I mentioned very briefly different ways to customize your program, right? So just to customize towards your needs, where you see yourself post MBA. So I would like to ask you if maybe you could share a little bit about the customization that you applied to the program. Maybe Corina, you went through the entire program. I would like to hear a little more about that.
Sure. And that's actually one thing I should have mentioned before as well, but it became even clearer, I think, afterwards. The flexibility and the sort of customization was something I really lived, I would say, to the limit. Maybe not in the most traditional sense that some do, but I really enjoyed that. So I ended up doing, I think, officially a 15 months program, if I correctly remember. I think I was done in, I don't know, 13 or 14, but then I wanted to do a specific course the February after, because I wanted to do this with a specific professor. So I was like, I just did that, and then already was looking for jobs. And then I also did my summer very differently. So I specifically, due to my background in, my previous work had been very, let's say, career focused and not so much personal life focused. So I actually decided to take the time off and spend it with my family and with my partner, because I was basically saying, I don't know when I will have this opportunity again. So that was something that was very much possible at Esade, right? Other schools are much too strict. So for me, it really gave me this freedom to decide where do I want to put the focus, also for courses, etc. Right? So I think to just from that angle, how long you want to do it, what courses you want to do, wherever you want to put the focus for you at that time to find your development. I think that's really what Esade does provide you. But you do need to reflect about it, because it won't be easy. You have to sort of figure it out and set the priorities for yourself.
Thank you, Marina.
Yeah, you go, Sarah.
Okay. Another big factor as well in the decision process for me was the flexibility that the MBA provided. I mean, we're still quite early on, it's about 4 months in, but for me, what was really important is to have an internship, because I really want to get some experience and try to see something else, and also an international exchange, because for me, again, the international experience was super important, and the fact that Esade allows you to do both was a big value added. And it's, at least from what I've seen so far, it is very flexible. You have to shift things around, and you definitely have to prioritize what's important to you. And I think that's the harder part of it. But you definitely have the opportunity to do that. And I think that's that's also one of the big factors in my decision to coming to Esade.
I think Philip.
Thanks. I just wanted to I think Sarah just took it out of my mouth. I think Esade gives you all the options that you can choose from. It's up to you then to design your package or your MBA throughout the way. And I think that's also something that I really appreciate at Esade, is that you don't have to take the decision whether you want to do 12, 15 or 18 months before you start. You can basically decide that in the midst, I mean, we still haven't decided what path we're choosing. And that's really nice, because you kind of get to know the pros and the cons. You talk to other people, to your colleagues, and see what they're doing, what their focus is. Maybe you shift your focus, which is totally fine. Also the opportunity, the triple jump, as Ursi said, is something that convinced me back then, especially with having the struggle of like, oh, is this the financial industry really something that I want to do long term? Don't I want to have maybe a different door or different doors open for the future? And I think that also convinced me, because it's the one step you have to take, and Esade basically helps and guides you through for the future, and then also makes it easier to then move abroad for a while or change the industry, change location, change everything that you want to do. Exactly. So I think like that, those are the things that I wanted to like add to what has been said.
I wanted to ask you, Corina, if you've done any study tour or study track. Yes, where did you
Yes,
go?
I have done both.
Hmm.
So I'm not sure you still do this, and I think it was a bit of an exception in our year, but I would so recommend to do this if you can. I did the study tour to Cape Town, South Africa, and it was an extremely enriching, horizon broadening, positive experience. I think everyone who went on that tour, with whatever reason, came back and was just, I don't know, yeah, enriched, to use that word again. It was really, really inspiring, and different focus, right? It very much focused on entrepreneurship in Africa. So it really gave great insights on this, and also what sort of maybe some hurdles might be there. And I think what was quite interesting at the time was that a lot of our Latin American colleagues actually found a lot of overlap, and were quite surprised by how similar a lot of the problems, or maybe also the opportunities, were. And they didn't think it would be. So that was very interesting. So for someone in entrepreneurship, that was great. I also heard great things about Dubai and Berlin, which were also happening while I was at Esade, with different focus areas. I believe Dubai was a bit more on consulting, and Berlin more also entrepreneurship, and potentially a little bit something else. And then I also did a track, or helped organize also track to Zurich around financial industry mainly. So I did join that at the time, also because we were looking at some other, let's say, more sustainability oriented providers in the financial space, which I was quite interested to learn more about. And yeah, that inspired me to join that track. I would say both are definitely worth going. The study tour is much longer. It's a week, I think, if I remember correctly. It seemed longer, and it was great for that. But yeah, the week is definitely worth it. You experience a lot. It's also a packed program. The track, I believe, is usually 2 days, if I'm not mistaken. And that's also sufficient. It's a lot more sort of company visits. It's a bit of a different dynamic, right? But both definitely recommend also to get in contact with people, because that's a great way to grow your network locally, and to learn more about what's behind the curtain.
Yeah, because during those treks and tours, we usually also organize like or network events, or events where alumni in that city or region are participating. So it's additionally also good opportunity for you to network with Esade alumni, besides, of course, on the companies that you're going to be meeting, and our partner school that you're going to be at during that in the study tour, right? So yeah, I don't know, Philippe and Sarah, you haven't done any yet, right? That's for term 2 or 3, I believe. 3.
I mean, the study tour in South Africa was in November in my time, and it's sort of the end of the, I guess, second year.
Yes.
Well, first. Yeah, you know what I mean. Geez, too long ago.
Yes, I was with the MBA study tour in Cape Town last year. So I did join them. Yeah. All right. And so going back, we were talking about careers, and I would like to hear a bit more about your experience with working with the career team. What support did you get? And then also maybe a little bit, how are the career accelerator programs working? And how do you think that will help you in your further career? Who would like to give? Yeah, Sarah.
I can start. So talking, for example, about the Career Acceleration Program, I signed up for the finance one. I was very interested in broadening my horizon within the finance industry and seeing the different kind of subsectors within the industry. And that's basically what it's about. So what they organized is different sessions with different industry experts where they would just give you an overview or a breakdown of kind of what they were doing in the day-to-day life. Which was quite interesting. I think they also do it for the tech industry, healthcare, and there's the
Consulting.
fourth one, consulting. Thank you. Exactly. So I don't know if Philip, maybe, I don't know if you've done the tech one.
Yes, I've done the tech one. On the other hand, it's actually similar to what Sarah described for the financial industry, but with also more focus on the recruitment process that a lot of tech firms have. They, for example, dedicated one entire session on how Amazon recruits, just to showcase that it is a bit different to how most industries hire. And they also do like practice interviews with you, underline important or key words that you should use or key approaches that you should have in order to succeed in the interview process, which I think was very helpful. It's also led by experts in the field, which is very insightful because they have the necessary contacts and know the right people in order to like maybe connect you also to roles that interest you. I'd like to also add that Sarah and I, we were part of the Explorers program, which is another program led by the careers team for people that want to have a shift in their career, but don't really know yet in what direction they could or should go. It is led by a life coach, which I thought was very nice because we also did a bit of meditations, like breathing exercises, just to like calm ourselves down because it is a bit of an anxious moment in the program, not knowing what to do after the MBA. So that was very nice. Also, she guides you through your CV and make sure that you have 3 main plans after the program ends in order to know, okay, this is my first, second, and third category for me to seek for an opportunity, which I don't know about you, Sarah, but I will definitely follow. And otherwise, you will be assigned to a specific careers person who is fully dedicated to guide you through your interview and recruitment processes that you do.
Yeah, maybe to give a bit the perspective more sort of towards the end or also sort of maybe post MBA. I mean, yes, I would agree with Philip. I worked mainly with one, key person in the careers team, which was more on the finance side. To start with, I think it was a lot of reflection on what did I like, what did I not like, why am I frustrated with certain things? Is this really something where I want to stay? And what's really pushing my buttons and why? And that wasn't always easy, but it was really key because it helped me later on realize what was important to me and actually, surprisingly for me, make a choice to go back into finance, at least for a period, which I had not seen coming at all. So this is how sometimes things can go, right? And I think that's also where the careers team can actually support you in that process of trying to figure out where do I want to go beyond the point of what are my contacts and how should I best approach this interview. We had some discussions around this, but honestly, it was for me the smaller part. It was actually more the brainstorming, so to say, about where do I want to go and focus. I actually didn't do one of the accelerator programs, but maybe we'll also talk about this a bit later. I focused on 2 labs, so the social impact and the family business lab, because I saw a better, let's say, overlap for my interests and where I wanted to focus there than in the accelerator program. So I can also recommend that in the sense to take advantage of these, because they also provide you sometimes a similar aspect on getting more into this area and also getting connections, exchanging with people that have been in that area and active already. So that can also be enriching later on in the MBA.
So you had specific courses then related to the lab that you choose, right? So you said family business and social impact.
Social impact, yeah. So I think I was one of the few who did two, but maybe I tried to compensate for not doing an accelerator at the start. So the idea is they're all part more or less of the elective sort of group subjects, but you need to do a minimum amount. And then on top, you have other activities. So that's that can be networking, that can be informational sessions, that can be certain classes that you do together as a group. It really depends a lot on the lab, how it is focused. But the whole thing together means you have a bit of an academic as well as a social component. And it actually goes across, I think, 3 or 4 terms. So it's much longer than the accelerator, but it just has a different dynamic.
Yeah. And how did you choose your electives then? Because electives start in the 3rd term, right? So how that's selection process?
That's a bit Esade style or Spanish style, let's say. So we had, let's say, a guidance from the year before on what would sort of be electives that would be recognized for this, but then things change, right? So you need to remain a little bit flexible, which is, I think, what you also learn in the MBA, that you adjust to whatever comes. And that was definitely part of it, because some of it I had planned for this term because it was supposedly happening then, but then it got moved or it didn't happen. So then you just need to refocus. So that was also a good lesson to learn. But I mean, it helped me focus a little bit on, okay, what electives do I want to do that also meet those requirements, and what other electives do I want to do that have maybe nothing to do with that, or that just are interest of me to do. So it actually gave me a bit of a framework to work with as well.
Yeah, and of course, every year those electives are also being updated, right? Based on the feedback of students, like or new trends that
and not all of this happens at the same time. So sometimes the time just passes you by, or goes faster than you expect. But
yeah, correct. Okay, now diversity. We talked about that also in the beginning. We have more than 40 nationalities in class. So I would like to also ask for your experience. How is it to work with so many different nationalities, peers coming from all around the world? What are the advantages? Are there any challenges? So yeah, I would like to hear a bit more about that.
I can start with this one. I think the word that comes to mind for me is it's refreshing. It's been super refreshing. When you look at it on the brochure at the beginning, that it's super international and that there's over 40 nationalities, it already looks good. But when you're in the classroom or in group work, and it's extremely international. And not only is it extremely international, people have such different experiences in terms of their careers, their academic backgrounds, that the perspectives that you see are just so different from yours. And I feel like it's very refreshing. I mean, I've really enjoyed that part. I think that's one of the highlights for me of the MBA. You certainly have to adjust, because you just have such different nationalities that you're accustomed to certain ways of working, and obviously other nationalities or other just personalities are going to be accustomed to working differently. So at the beginning it was a little bit stressful. You're put in a group of 6, and basically you have to do a lot of projects from basically day one. And it's certainly in the case of my team, it took a little bit of adjustment. It takes a bit of time, but it's been one of the highlights of the MBA. I really, really enjoyed that.
And Philip, go ahead, Philip.
Sorry. No, I can absolutely disagree with what Sarah said. It's also like, what I liked about it is a bit of a simulation of the real world, because it's never the case that you're stuck within a corporate that is only functioning within one nation. The team might be less international than what we've been experiencing, but it has definitely been very, very rewarding to work with people that have a very different mindset or a very different way of approaching a task, or also even little things like time management, or also agreeing on meeting at a specific time in Spain means something completely different, or in Latin America, than it means for someone coming from Norway or Switzerland. So you kind of learn to read between the lines also within your team and with your colleagues and other cultures. And I think that's something that I'm gonna now try to use for the rest of my life and my professional journey.
So one thing we didn't mention, that the class, of course, every year we have about 180 students, but you're not together in class all together, I would say. So there are 3 sections. So that means that the class will still be big enough to have the diversity. So if we have, for example, 6 Swiss, they would not be all in the same section. So we would divide them that every section has a Swiss representation, right? So which makes it, well, big enough to have the diversity, but not too big that you can still interact and have easy conversations in class participation, interactions, really easy interactions with professors, right? Instead, if you compare like being in class with 180, and a lot of schools do have big class sizes, right? And I think that's an advantage from RB MBA to have this more personal approach, right? So I wanted to ask, based on that, how are your interactions with professors? How is your experience working with them and interacting?
I think like it was, I think we talked a bit about this with other students, and it was like, because we've all been working before the MBA, so it's basically leaving your workspace and leaving this working environment, this professional environment, and going back to school. So the first couple of weeks, it's a bit weird. It's very also exhausting to sit in the classroom suddenly again and like listen and just take in information all the time. But generally, it is very interactive. I'm actually surprised how interactive it is and how much the professors engage with the class. The classes are about 60 people, so it is a very comfortable size to have conversations, have challenge each other, and give different perspectives from different backgrounds. And there again, keyword diversity for different problems that you look at with the professor or different cases that you solve. And then breaking that down again to those smaller groups of 6 people makes it even more interesting, because you can discuss it in more granularity within that small group, which also never shares same nationalities, if I'm not mistaken. So then again, you have at least 5 other perspectives to the case, which then you look at you take a step back basically, and then you look at it from a broader point of view with the professor, which is again very interactive, very hands-on.
Yeah. Right, maybe we still have a couple of minutes, and I'm just continue asking questions. But if there are any questions, I see that we have some candidates. So please go ahead and interrupt if you want to ask your questions. If not, I just continue with the
Yes. Hello to everyone. My name is Ishan. So similar to Sarah, I was actually in the Hotel School of Lausanne. I was actually Sarah's junior. And I graduated in 2020, so it was not really the best time to have a hospitality degree. So I pivoted my career from hospitality to finance. That was actually a benefit of the degree, that it allowed you to enter different careers or industries, specifically with the focus of business and finance. So I've been working in consulting for about a year and a half, and then I switched careers to investment banking. And while I was doing investment banking, I did my CFA level 1 and 2. And so I have about now 3.5 years of experience, and I've applied for my MBA. I just wanted to have a few questions actually. First question actually is for you, Ursi, because I could not take the GMAT or the GRE exam. because I was doing my CFA, and so I couldn't dabble that many things. So I just want to know, because I'm taking the Esade entrance exam, that's the DAE, and I just wanted some tips, or is there a particular approach to prepare for it?
Yes. So the SATA test is very similar to the GMAT and the GRE, with the difference that it's not adaptive. So I would say it's slightly easier. You can also use a calculator. So I will send you tomorrow. I will send you an email with the guidelines, so you can have a look at it. What kind of questions will be asked? But I recommend to study with the same materials as if you would study for the GMAT. On our website, and I will include that also in my email, you can do some mock tests. So those mock tests are for the GMAT. If you have a good score on that, I would say most probably you will have a slightly better score on our test, but it's a good way to practice. And of course, our test is free of charge. You can book it once you submit your application. So you first have to submit, because otherwise the test will be canceled. So there are tests available almost every day. There are several slots per day, and it usually takes about 5 working days for us to get a result. So it's very fast. As I said, we work on a rolling base. Once we have the test result, we can do the admissions interview and then go to the committee the next Thursday, because the committee is taking place every Thursday.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I just had, so another question would be that now that you guys, obviously, Karina, you've done your MBA, and Sarah and Philippe, you're still doing your MBA programs. I read somewhere that the average work experience of candidates in the MBA program is about 5 to 6 years. But I'm guessing, since that's the average, you have people with slightly less work experience as well. Has that really affected their MBA experience, or does that in any way affect their job prospects post their MBA?
I mean, if I may, like, I don't feel anything during class or within interactions. I feel like a lot of people actually have more experience than the minimum required, that I think are 3. I haven't heard anyone with less than 3. I also have 3 before applying for the MBA, just like you. Now for after the MBA, I think Karina is best for you to answer. But like during the MBA, I really don't feel that if some people, like, that the discussions are distorted or in any way because of someone having more than others, just because it's very diverse, and some people have like 12 years of experience in physics or in, I don't know, biomechanics, and others have 3 years of experience in finance or in consulting. So it's actually pretty balanced, and I think like the average 6 years is pretty accurate.
Yeah.
I think most of them are around between 4 and 8. I haven't heard anyone with more than 10, I think.
Yeah, I must say that I'm also recruiting in Sub-Saharan Africa, and last year we had 2 candidates from South Africa, Mauritius. They had 3 years of work experience, but a solid work experience in finance. They were applying for the master in finance. And when I saw their work experience, I mean, I said, look, this experience is solid enough to do an MBA program. Doing an MBA program, when you graduate, of course, your entry level in the company will be a much higher level than if you finish with a master program. So we redirected them to the MBA program. And this year I have another South African in the same situation, and which has been working 3 years for the Standard Bank in South Africa, and their experience is solid enough to do an MBA program. So this candidate was also wanting to apply for the master in finance. So yeah, I mean, we will have to go through your profile, Ishan, but as far as you said, with the experience that you have, I wouldn't see any issue for not being admitted to the MBA program.
I would, I mean,
go ahead,
sorry,
Karina.
Sarah, go ahead.
Oh, okay, thank you. So something on top, which I noticed is not always about just the years of experience, but it's actually about the quality of the experience. So I've seen a few people, including actually one in my team, who I think has just 3 years of experience, but it was working in like a startup, and he was exposed to a lot of different things. And I think he has, I mean, he actually brings a lot of contribution. So I wouldn't worry too much about the years of experience. And I haven't felt that it impacted them in any way. So I wouldn't worry too much about that.
Yeah, I agree.
And again, I think post MBA, it really depends what you would look to do, right? I think the general rule applies if you really want to change completely direction and you don't have a lot of experience at all in that area, then something like the internships or some of the exchanges or focus areas that may come in very handy, because it will help you gain some experience to position better post MBA. If you're going into the same direction, you can obviously utilize a lot of that experience. So I think there's not really a general answer other than to say, I don't think it should stop you. And then it's a little bit of what you make out of it, I would also say. But again, I would echo the rest, the other three on what I've already said.
Perfect.
Do you have any
Thank
other
you.
questions?
Yeah, just one last question. So from what I gather, that of course during your MBA program you have your regular classes, and the academics is obviously there, but then again you have your labs as well. And my main question with this is that how do you manage your time with all that? And secondly, the most important thing from an MBA is the networking opportunities, right? How do you really tap into those, attending those events, or maybe reaching out to fellow alumni and meeting people or companies that are coming on campus, and exploring other avenues as well?
Yeah, maybe I'll just jump into that one. It's definitely a juggle, right? It's a balancing act, and it depends a lot on what you think is the most important or what you prioritize. You cannot do it all. I think when we started, there were the 3 S's, and you can only do 2 out of 3 or something. Like, I think it was sleep, study, and socialize or something like this. And it is quite true. You can for a while do all 3, 150%, and then it takes its toll. So you really need to do a bit of inspection on what events do you really want to go, what networks do you want to build. And network, I think, again, I also underestimated this a little bit in the beginning because there's so much. You need to invest in that early on. It grows with time, and if you can get overwhelmed easily at the start, and then maybe networking is one of the easier ones to just leave out, or go home early and recover, which is not necessarily a bad choice. It's just one that maybe you will find later on should have maybe done that anyways, because it would have helped now to already know someone. But again, it is really always a prioritization for yourself. What is the most important, and for you emotionally, physically, network and career wise. But yeah, I think you have all of those opportunities, and you may need to make a decision. That's really all I can input from my experience.
Yeah,
maybe just to
no, go Philip.
Maybe just to give add to that. I mean, we had a guest lecturer yesterday. He worked together with Elon Musk with acquiring Tesla, and did his MBA at Stanford. And what he said, what an MBA is for, is basically to be overwhelmed. So the MBA will overwhelm you, and it's your task to juggle it and balance everything that is being thrown at you. So basically, they prepare you for your managing years as a manager in the future, hopefully, where you get all these requests and need to take all these decisions in milliseconds without really thinking about it, and going with your intuition also. So I think, as Corina said correctly, the 3 S's you will need to balance, and sometimes socializing is a bit more, sometimes studying is a bit more, sometimes which is the third one? Sleep is a bit more. but you will always kind of you will get through it. That's no question about it. Just because also Esade has this very strong sense of collaboration and support, in my opinion, maybe more than other business schools, as far as I heard, which makes it a bit easier, or like nicer at least, the experience. But it is gonna be challenging. But I guess that's also the reason why one does an MBA in the first place.
Ishan, are you based in Zurich?
No, I'm currently based in India.
So you're now in India. Okay. No, I was gonna say next week. I mean, this week I'm traveling to Zurich and Geneva. If you would like to meet, happy to meet. But are you now permanently based? I mean, permanently, yeah, based in India, or are you moving back and forward between Switzerland?
So I'm actually based in India. Since after graduation, I came back to India. But the company that I'm actually working for, it's basically a VC that's based out of Amsterdam.
Okay.
And I'm currently working for them from India.
Okay.
I'm working for them as a part-time investment analyst. So I basically provide financial modeling services, preparing pitch decks and teasers, and everything that basically goes with it. So I'm working on European times, but just from India.
All right. So then what I would suggest, I will be connecting you with my colleague Edina. She's now responsible for recruiting candidates from India. So I will connect you with her so she can follow up with you and schedule a call and further guide you through your application if you decide to apply. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, I have already applied.
Oh,
I've
I didn't
yeah
know.
yeah no, I'm sorry. It's actually my fault. I forgot to mention that I've already applied, and my TAE is also scheduled for next week as well.
Okay, good. All right.
But
So success. Yeah.
yeah,
Wish you
but I
success.
would still love to connect with your colleague as well.
Yes, in any case, she will be also doing the interview with you once you submit. So I will let her know that you attended the session, and I will ask her to reach out to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for answering all the questions.
I think maybe very briefly to finish the session. Maybe I would like to ask each of you what has been, or so far, what has been your highlights of the program? Very briefly.
I think for me, the highlights so far were the foundation weeks. So the start week in particular was a lot of a lot of people. You meet 180 people at once. You network a lot. But it's when you basically those interactions are like the most memorable ones, in my opinion. Gets you going and gets you started and ready for the year.
I would love to say the same, but unfortunately I was sick during foundation week, so I missed it. But I think for me, the people. I think just the people in our cohort have been a highlight for me. And just like we talked about, like the diversity and everything I learn from people every day, I think that's what really stands out to me.
Yes, I would definitely echo that. I mean, I have so many people that I know I can connect with more or less whatever corner I go into these days of the world. But there's also, let's say, a handful of really good friends that I made through the MBA that were extremely, enriching and just has, a different sort of basis post MBA to connect and exchange. And to be maybe a little bit nerdy, I have to say there's two courses that really stuck with me, and two professors. One was the negotiation class with Professor Jordi. Highly recommend that, both of them. And also the communication classes with Lola. Both of them have come into use already several times in my, whether it was within the MBA or post MBA, and they're great people. So that really were two wow, highlights for me as well.
So what has been your favorite class so far, Sarah and Philip?
Communication as well with Lola. It's been amazing. Yeah, it's been really amazing. And finance as well with Gloria.
Gloria?
Yes, she's great.
I would also say communications was pretty high up there. I wish I could say finance. I'm finding myself not to be a finance guy here. I think another one that I really enjoyed was strategy. Strategy was really nice as well, and marketing strategy in particular. That was my favorite.
Well, thank you so much to the three of you for being here and dedicating some of your precious time. I mean, I know Sarah, Philippe, that is very intense for you. And Corina also, I mean, a very demanding job. So thanks a lot for taking time to be here, to sharing your experience. And I would say hope to see you, I mean, Philippe, Sarah on campus soon. And then Corina in Zurich during one of my next visits. Would be nice to catch up with you.
For sure.
All right, thank you so much. And Ishan, thanks for attending, and we will be in contact with you soon. Good luck with the admissions process, and I hope to see you on campus in September.
Thank you so much. I hope to see you as well. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Thank you.
Lovely
Thank
evening.
you. Bye, you too. Bye.